puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
All righty. Correction. Back.
Hold on.
To back.
We're not done yet. Let's not do that yet. Yes, we have a 4-goal lead, but it is not finished yet. So let's just, pump the brakes before we celebrate 4 straight.
Yeah, I'll just put it this way. A lot of steak dinners have been paid. I've already got Garrett's address, sending him a big gift basket for Christmas this year for sure. But yeah, I don't want to jinx it. Knocking on wood here in my office. We do have a game to protect this 4-goal lead from Benteke. So,
But yes, if you've watched the show in week 9, the week 9 episode, I added Christian Benteke at 10-1 to win the Golden Boot, and here we are. He's sitting on 23 goals. That's 4 ahead of Bouanga and Cucho, which also we have a future on Cucho, so it feels good to have your futures be looking at 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, and then Suarez and Messi probably don't even play, right? This week.
I would doubt it. Yeah, I would sincerely doubt it. And that was the risk, right? Was like, because they were the 2 favorites, was Messi and Suarez. Like, you're going to fade the favorites and try to find value. And it looks like we have. So yeah, knock on wood, 1 game to go. And yeah, that would be 4 straight. Pretty awesome.
Remarkable. Cool. Well, yeah. Welcome back, everybody. As always, we're here on Sports Prophet TV with the MLS Live podcast, and we are talking D-Day 2024 for MLS. We've got some teams that, got a chance to sneak in there, some teams that are defending. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. I think it's the best way to talk about standings real quick before we jump into the show. So let me jump over here to SofaScore. I like the SofaScore format, and so that's why I went this route. So here we got the Eastern Conference. Inter Miami just nuts this year, right? They've got the East wrapped up, but really the area that we're focusing on is down here at the bottom, because at 8 and 9, DC and Montreal are at 40, and then we've got 3 teams sitting on 37. 2 of which have a better goal difference than both DC and Montreal, right? So,
yeah, DC and Montreal cannot afford to drop all 3 points this weekend. A draw gets them in, but if they drop points, they are opening the door. Atlanta's in a tough spot having to go to Orlando. I don't love that for them.
I agree.
Philly is hosting Cincy. But I would expect Cincy to rotate and to try to just get guys rested going into the playoffs, as they are just in an awful skid right now. And it's just like, end the season, please. So DC and Montreal, they're both the home teams. That helps them. But yeah, they cannot drop all 3 points, or more than likely 1 or both do not make the playoffs.
Yeah. And I mean, it's decision day for a reason. I would not be shocked to see some chaos, especially with this situation here in the East. So.
Surprisingly, though, that's the only in-out battle for the conferences as far as like making or not making the playoffs on decision day. The West is wrapped up as far as the 9 teams getting in. You do have some seeding battles in both conferences, right? As far as where they finish 1 through 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only in or out battle for this weekend.
Cool. Yeah. And then just a quick look at the West here. There is an opportunity for, if LA Galaxy loses and LAFC wins and pours in a bunch of goals, they could still end up winning the West.
and not an easy spot for Galaxy going to Houston. So it's not a gimme that they get out of there with points.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, we'll jump into it then. We've got lots of good games to talk about. We're going to start with one of the better rivalries in MLS, one of the more historic rivalries in the league. Seattle Sounders at home hosting the Portland Timbers, and this is a really intriguing game. Garrett, this is yours. You're kicking us off, so let's get into it.
So yeah, I don't normally back the Sounders. Like they're just not a team I enjoy backing. But they take care of business. In fact, they're the hottest team since Leagues Cup ended in the league, averaging 2.38 points a game. So that's really like the lead into why I'm on the Sounders here. They are the hottest team since League Cup ended, and I'm just going to ride that wave. I think it's a huge match. The Sounders defense is actually leaps and bounds better than Portland's. For Portland, also Kamal Miller is suspended, one of their starting center backs, for a defense that isn't super strong anyway. So losing a starting center back is definitely key here. And Portland's attack is also sputtering at like the worst time for them to have this match coming up. They've only scored 1 goal in their last 3 games. They're almost 10 goals over their expected total on the season. So I think we're just dealing with some regression here as the regular season ends. I do think this game could be fun as both sides are qualified for the playoffs. I think there's a little, typically I would say seems to be a little more relaxed, a little more, carefree, and maybe, just finding more joy on the pitch. This game, though, because it is such a historic rivalry, such a big match in their season, I think Seattle's going to want to answer for that loss in Portland earlier in the year. And so I'm getting the home side at a playable number in a match that they very much as a team want to win. That's where I'm rolling.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Regular season finale. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I'm always cool with backing a team as good defensively as Seattle is. Portland's had defensive issues all year, and then you talked about Miller. He's going to be out for this one as well. And Seattle, I mean, not that they have the best attack in the league, but they're hot, like you said. So, like it from a matchup perspective for sure. And Seattle they've been on a roll, so I'm with you here. All right, going on to my first play. I'm going with another home favorite. I know we just talked about the East. We just talked about Atlanta. They need to win, and then they need some help as well, and potentially they could sneak into the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think this is a spot that actually potentially, I think it works against them here. I think the desperation, they need too much to go their way. They're going to go, balls to the wall from the opening whistle in this one on the road. I don't love that for Atlanta. I don't love the matchup for Atlanta. And Orlando City, speaking of hot teams, this team has really, really found their stride in the second half of the season. I mean, this is a team that's just been pouring them in, and it hasn't been a fluke. I mean, the numbers have been there to back it up. So with a win, obviously not as much on the line for Orlando since they're already locked in, but with a win, they will solidify a top 4 spot, which will have a lot to do with home field advantage as the playoffs go on. And I just think they're just in a much better and a much different place than Atlanta is right now. I think, this is an Atlanta team that clearly is kind of building for next year, right? And I'm not saying that they're not going to show up and fight. I think they will. But I think that this is a spot that, right, like we see it with narratives, and you see the narrative get worked into the market and the pricing sometimes as far as, this is a must win for Atlanta. This is a must win. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a must win. That team just gets bludgeoned. And I think this could potentially be a spot like that with how well Orlando has played at home the second half of the season. I don't love the matchup for Atlanta. I like Orlando at home. -130, -133. That's fair for me. I mean, I'm in it like -150 or better, because I don't see Orlando just being like, well, they have to win, so here you go. Like, that's not how, professional, athletes think or play. So, yeah, I like Orlando here.
Yeah, I think Orlando's going to come to play. They probably need at least a draw here to maintain that fourth spot and get some home cooking in the playoffs. So I don't mind the price here. I was so close to taking the under 3.5 for this match, which seems blasphemous in a season finale because like I expect a lot of goals around the games this weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that 3.5 number, that's gone under in 81% of Atlanta's road games. And I was like, man, that is a high percentage. And then it's gone under in 75% of Orlando's home games. And so I was real close to eating the juice on the under 3.5. I can't bring myself to do it because, like I said, on last game of the season, I expect there to be a lot of goals. So this is probably, and that under 3.5 is around the same price. And so, yeah, I don't know why you just don't take Orlando money line here. I'm not. Atlanta has shown multiple times this season that they cannot finish. They cannot hang on to a game when they need to. So I'm not worried about Atlanta here. Their seasons, I know they're playing. I know they could make it if they win, but their season's done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Speaking of being done, this has got to be it for Brad Guzan, right? He's 40 years old. He hasn't looked great this year. It's got to be it.
I don't know, man. Brad strikes me as a guy who's going to play as long as somebody's paying him. I mean, they went out in the summer and brought in a goalkeeper, and he couldn't take the starting job away from Guzan. So I don't know what that says. You would think so, right? But who knows, man? I mean, Brad's played 3 or 4 more years than I thought he would already. So,
right. Yeah, I'm just pulling up the goals added for goalkeepers in MLS this season. Kalina from Charlotte's number 1. Matt Freese for NYC is number 2. As we move down here, let me see. Yeah, so Brad Guzan is 1, 2, 3, 4. He's actually not as bad as I thought he's been this year. He's top 15. So maybe he plays again. Like you said, if somebody pays him, right, he'll keep playing, and I can't blame him. But
it feels like this year was more coming back from the injury he took last season that like stole the season from him.
Yeah.
So maybe he's got another season under his belt and he felt like he finished it. But I mean, like, especially if they miss the playoffs, I don't know, man. Like, there's always that unfinished business like feeling that I feel like most athletes can't shake easily. So who knows?
Yeah, and he's obviously a hell of a competitor. All right, we keep it moving. FC Dallas hosting Sporting Kansas City.
So it's a FC Dallas. It's going to be an over. It's going to be over 3. I'm just going to eat the juice on it. Like I said, I expect goals this weekend. And I actually love the fact that Dallas was 0-0 in their last match going to Portland. Because you just expect that was harped on in practice this week. So before the goalless draw, they had seen 4 or more goals in their last 4 games. Meanwhile, you got Sporting KC, who has given up 3 goals by themselves in each of the last 3 games. You probably see some rotation here as both sides are already eliminated. So you're probably going to go with guys playing for jobs or a younger crop looking to catch the eye of the coach for next season. But I think this is a spot where guys try to, have some fun, find some joy, as a very disappointing season for both teams winds down. And it also helps that both these teams are in the bottom 10 in defense this season. So, like, if they rotate any starters, I can't imagine the guys replacing them are better. So I've got bottom 10 defenses facing off in a season finale. That just says goals to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we've ridden FC Dallas overs for a minute now, and it's for the most part has been good to us, right? Same thing with Sporting Kansas City overs and just kind of fading that Sporting Kansas City defensive unit. They've been really bad. And a funny thing about that game last week against Portland, it ended 0-0, right? But there was over 3 XGs.
Oh yeah,
combined.
no, it was very surprising there were no goals.
Yeah. So I like it. All righty. Decision day goals. We love it. All right. On to our next one here. This one's mine. I'm using we're sharing a parlay leg just because I love one of these legs so much. So we will have a little added exposure as far as the show goes, right? But just love it. So I'm looking at a LAFC money line just to get it done against the Quakes, who have just, they've been historically bad this year, right? LAFC, they haven't necessarily passed the eye test every game in say, like, let's say like their last 10, but they're starting to build some momentum. They've won 5 in a row. And they're starting to somewhat figure it out with Giroud. I mean, it's still a little clanky, but I think it looks better. It's looked better the last 3 or 4 games, in my opinion. And they've got to score goals here. They've got to win if they want any shot at the West. So I like LAFC at home to get it done. And then my favorite parlay leg in weeks, like maybe in a month in Major League Soccer, St. Louis, Minnesota, both teams to score. I love it, dude, because St. Louis City has known that they've been eliminated for a while now. Like, they've known that playoffs are out of reach, but all the G2 guys that they brought over from Bundesliga 2, they got João Klaus back. They got Lovin back in the midfield after, he had like some family stuff he was dealing with. These guys are the ultimate professionals, and you can tell that they are building towards next season as a group. They know that they're going to be back together. The St. Louis City attack, like, given that they've known that they're pretty much not going to make the playoffs, considering that, has been one of the better attacks in Major League Soccer, in the last like 7-8 games. When those guys have been on the field together, they've been really good. Like, they have been fun to watch. It's been smooth. They're not going to lay down here. They're going to contribute to goals in this game against Minnesota, who's been, they've had issues defensively at times themselves. They're at home. I like the Minnesota attack. I like both these attacks. I think that parlay piece is just, it's beautiful for me. So I'm putting them together, minus 111.
So yeah, we'll touch on the LFC game here in a little bit. I'll just go ahead and talk about the Minnesota St. Louis game, since I'm also got a both teams to score leg.
Do you want me to roll into yours, or?
No. I'll just piggyback over this. Yeah, I'm down for LAFC, and then for the both teams to score, I do want to point out, like, Minnesota's kept 4 clean sheets in a row. Like, the defense has been very strong here in the recent form. I just don't think it can keep doing what it's been doing. And then you touched on it, how the Germans are playing for St. Louis. My gut feeling is that St. Louis doesn't rotate much here, because I think they want these guys playing together and getting as much time as possible for next season. That's why they made all these moves in the summer to bring these guys in. Now, St. Louis road games are just always fun. Both teams to score is sitting at 75% when St. Louis goes on the road this season. And so, yeah, this all comes down to Minnesota's defense. And I can't see them continuing what they've been doing over the past month. I think they're absolutely going to let one in. I think this game could actually be bonkers if the dice fall the right way, where there's just goals all over the place. I like this Minnesota attack. I obviously like the St. Louis attack. And so, yeah, I love both teams to score. It is, I won't go as far as to say it's my favorite parlay piece in weeks, because I have my favorite parlay piece of the entire season on this show coming up. But I do like both teams to score a lot in Minnesota. So yeah, I'm down with this.
Cool. All right, on to our next one, another combo play, and this one's yours.
So here we go. I'm also going to attack the LAFC game. I'm going to pair it with DC United. So DC United are in a spot where they cannot drop points at home, where they probably fall out of the playoffs, as we already discussed. They also have only kept a clean sheet in 6% of their games this season. So even though overs haven't been a great look with Charlotte this season, I think with them already qualified for the playoffs, they could be a little more relaxed, a little more fun. And DC almost assuredly needs at least 2 to win this one since they don't keep clean sheets.
Yeah.
So I'm back in that 70% of home games going over in 2.5 with United at home. And I think the scenario keeps that trend going with Charlotte probably playing a little more carefree, not as tight on the road as they typically have. Like over 2.5 is only hitting in 40% of Charlotte's games this season. I think we see a fun Charlotte going against DC United. They know this team can be scored on. So, like, if it's your season finale, you're going to the playoffs anyway. Why would you not push to try to score some here? Like, it doesn't matter what you concede because DC's going to let them in. So, yeah, I love the over in DC. And like I said, you have my favorite parlay piece of the MLS season in LAFC team total over 1.5. It is very juiced at -400 or worse, depending on the book you look at. But in a spot where they're going to get a rotated San Jose side, I fully believe San Jose plays the kids. Like, there's no reason to not play the kids here.
Wow.
Give them a taste of MLS. Like you're going to, I think they bring in as many youngsters as they can because this team has to scrap and start over, right? Like, whoever were your starters, they probably should not be your starters next year. So outside of that, I think that attack is okay. Like you're not going to get rid of the wingers. Probably don't get rid of a Bovasi, but everything else is on the table. So at -400 or worse, San Jose's already clinched the wooden spoon, and they're on the road where no team has conceded more goals than them on the road. And LFC have to win and win by multiple goals to close the goal differential with the Galaxy should the Galaxy lose and fail to clinch the West. Yeah, it's the best spot of the season for a parlay piece. I'm actually partnering it everywhere. Like, if I find any games I like, I'm just throwing LAFC team total over 1.5 in it. And so, yes, this makes it -115. DC United over 2.5, I think, is just under -200 on most books. That's Charlotte keeping that line down. DC United playing anyone else, you're probably looking at -250, -260 at least for that over 2.5. So yeah, this is I absolutely love this parlay.
Yeah, what's a little bit interesting about this time of year with Major League Soccer, you got NFL, MLB playoffs, college football, right? This is a spot to me that ends up being like a -900, -1,000 by kickoff. If this game was during the summer, and San Jose posts all, like, word gets out that it's going to be kids, or they post that they're going to be playing the kids, right? I think this LAFC money line and team total just gets steamed to absolute oblivion if this was the summer. But there's so much going on this time of year. I think some of these lines get a little bit neglected as far as there's not as many people in the market this time of year for Major League Soccer. So this is one that should be, it should be more expensive than it is. I know it's -400 in that ballpark. Should probably be like -750, -800. So,
and I haven't read anything that says San Jose plays the kids. That's just my gut feeling. Like, there's no reason not to, right?
Yeah.
You got guys, the way the roster rules are set up, you can call up guys so many times in a season before you got to make it permanent. You got to see what these guys got. They're going to go up against a great team. What better time to test yourself? You've already won the wooden spoon. Like, there's literally nothing for San Jose to play for. So yeah, it's my favorite. It is my favorite spot of the season with all of that scenario.
Sweet. Yeah, you're using the LAFC team total as an anchor. I think that's what we call it. All right, last one for the show. It's also yours. It's another combo play.
Yeah, another one. So this is just a pure fun play. It's into the season. Philly have to win to try to make the playoffs. Cincy's defense is super suspect right now. Minnesota and St. Louis we already talked about, they had their face decided, yada, yada. We talked about the both teams to score. So it's going to be Philadelphia over 2.5 versus Cincy, plus Minnesota both teams to score at St. Louis for plus 107. I like this look a lot as well. I love DC United over 2.5 more. That's why I put it with LAFC. But this parlay at plus money, I really like this spot. Like I said, I think there are goals this weekend. So for the show, tried to save some of my favorite spots that I think that we'll see goals in. And here we go. Plus 107 for the last parlay.
Cool. Yeah, I like it too. I don't know. Is Barbo, is he going to be back from Israel? He probably should.
He'll be back from Israel. He was on the bench. Did they play today?
I think he was. He played their first game. I think he actually started. But then,
today's Tuesday. We're a day ahead. I kept thinking that today is Wednesday because of when we normally film. No, he should be back. I don't even know if he starts or if he plays. Like I said, Philly, but I don't see why not. All right, Philly has to win. Philly has to win, and then hope that somebody drops points somewhere. So, but what I don't see is I don't see Cincy laying over. You might not see Acosta play. They might rotate some, but that back line is so bad, man. Like if Philly's feeling themselves, they can put 3 of themselves. That's why I'm loving the over here. Since he can answer, but Philly's going to play to win, when that probably means they'll need at least 2 goals.
Right. Hey, if you're watching the show right now, make sure that you've liked the video and that you subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more MLS content, more episodes of the MLS Live podcast as playoffs come around. This is Decision Day 2024. So this is our last regular season episode. And then we're going to be getting into the playoffs, which is a ton of fun. If you haven't been with the show during playoffs, it gets crazy. It's a lot of fun. So, and also make sure on Mondays that you're checking out our College Football Capital podcast on this channel as well. That's early leans and show picks on Monday before the lines move too much. We will send out some show picks for you there. You can go back and watch yesterday's episode. So, other than that, what do we think of Pochettino? What do we think of U.S. men's national team tonight against Mexico? How are we feeling?
I don't know, those 11s on both sides are awful. The under was already sitting at like 2.25 like yesterday, and I was like, I might play under 1.5. Like, I don't expect goals here. Your boy Sargent starting up top. So yeah, I think Poch has. I don't know, man. I don't like Poch. I think he wasted one of the most talented team of youngsters in that Spurs team that I've ever seen, right? Like when you've got, what was it, a 27, 28-year-old Harry Kane, like, just all those guys, Dele Alli in his prime, just a ton of other in his prime. He's really young. He was like 22, but that was like his best years. And just a ton of just really good talent, right? And I would have expected a good manager to win silverware with that squad. I know they made a Champions League final. Like they did a lot of stuff that Spurs have not done, but I would expected more silverware. So that's just where I rub the wrong way with Poch. And it's probably not even a fair assessment, right? Like that sounds actually ridiculous when you say it out loud. Like he took a team that doesn't have the funds like not all these other, like the big teams do in EPL, and made it to the Champions League final and all that other stuff. I think he's easily the best coach the United States men's team has ever had. Like, I don't even think that's up for debate. I just don't know what you're going to see here in a couple of friendlies that he's worked with guys for 2 weeks, right? It took forever to get the thing signed. I think that had to do with compensation with, where was he at last? Chelsea? Like, I don't know. It had to do with compensation with somebody, right? Like, so that he could get that contract paid out. So I don't know. I think I'm not gonna make really much judgment at all based on tonight's game and the previous game versus Panama. Like It really comes. We'll see what happens in the World Cup because that's where we're at now. Like, the USA don't really have any like big competitions until the World Cup. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I got issues with this federation. So hopefully Poch can do something. The hire at least speaks to going outside the box, right? For the feds. Like normally they're hiring one of their friends. So this is good in that sense. And maybe they started something. You see England today hiring Tuchel. So like you got some big names getting hired to national teams right now. So
I hear you. And I don't disagree with much of it. I'll tell you what I do like though, kind of a positive spin, because my biggest thing with this team has always been culture, right? I want somebody to instill a toughness, not so much like an individualistic culture and not so much a buddy, I'm your coach, but I'm your friend too type deal. I think he is kind of, so far, I like what I've seen from that point of view. I like the way that the players have sounded in interviews. I like the way he's sounded in interviews. It seems like, we've said forever, we're not a serious federation, right? I'm feeling like we have a chance to be a little bit more serious.
oh,
And so
he started Sargent in 2 games, man.
no, I know, but the
like
roster,
that's strike 1 and 2.
Sargent's, yeah, you know how I feel about Sargent. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. But I like some things. I just want to be better. I think we're better. I think we have a chance to be better. With World Cup coming up, I just want us to be better. And I think that we have a chance.
If you want to be better, you've got to see a different roster than the one we had at Copa.
Yeah.
And that's going to rub some people the wrong way because those are guys that are playing overseas. But there's not a lot of them getting regular play time. And that is a huge issue.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know who. So are you advocating for MLS guys to get in there or what?
Oh, no. Let's not go crazy. I'm just saying, like, there are other guys out there. Like, so you look at Aiden Morris is a prime example, right? Went to championship, played well in championship while he was there, and then now is starting for the United States national team. Like, that's a guy. You need, what do they call them? Lunch pail like carriers.
Yeah.
Like, you need the guys who are just going to work and work and work. And Aiden's a worker, man. And you need more guys like that to put around your Pulisics and whoever else wants to step up. Like, we want it to be Balogun, but like,
yeah,
I mean, he's had just a really down time since that loan move ended. So I don't know what the answer is up top. Like, it's always struggled with. I mean, I think it's still pretty evident that Balogun's the most talented striker we have, but it's not really working right now. I
Tyler
like Way on the wing, but I don't know. I don't know if he's the best there. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's hard. This midfield is full, and I don't know who you drop out.
Yeah, it's not Tyler Adams. To me, he's got to be the guy. He's got to be.
I got beef with Adams.
Why?
Because Tyler Adams should be that guy. He's been the captain. He should be the guy running the show in midfield. But his messaging is it's a 180 now, where he was like all about run it back. Let's get Berhalter back in here, and then he's like, you know what? We really need to make a change. Like, no, man. Like, you should have been leading that charge. You knew what was in the locker room. And so he's looking like another one of those guys that just hangs out with the other national team guys and they're just buddy, right? Like, I don't need any more of those. I don't need any more Geos. I don't need any more of those type of guys. Like you said, you need a culture shift. Adam should have been that culture shift, and he's not. He's just not the leader. Like, I think that we wanted him to be, and that's not who he is.
No, but he he was that guy on the biggest stage of the World Cup on the field. Like, that's what I'm talking about. On the field, he was that guy. I'm right there with you with the messaging. I think it's, it's easy to fall into that, whoever your current coach is and the whole team is buddy with Berhalter and all that. But as far as like just an engine that doesn't stop.
on the field, he is that holding midfielder. He is the enforcer. Moose is more of the engine. But Adams is there holding it down. But he can't stay healthy, man. Like the past 2 years, he's lost so much time to injuries. That's just unfortunate.
I guess I'm hoping, like, just to kind of sum it up, I'm hoping that Pochettino can really install a different perspective, a different culture than a lot of these guys have dealt with. Well, I know that he will install a different culture at the international level. A lot of these guys have been on big teams, with their club teams and seen a lot of that up close. But the team is immature. They've been immature for a long time, and I think that potentially he can install some maturity and some culture, and these guys can grow, and we can get better from that perspective, because we're talented enough. There are teams.
Are we?
We're talented enough if the culture is there and we buy in and we're organized to pull off some shocks and get it done if our style of play is right. Like, I mean, dude, Greece won the Euros in 2000 or something. That team wasn't more talented than us. So like, I know that's totally different in a lot of ways.
I mean, but yeah, you're like that. You're wishing on a star there. Like that. What Greece did was incredible, but everything aligned for them, both pre-tournament, during the tournament, like in the game, like everything went their way. You could not find a better mix of talent and luck than what Greece had in that tournament.
But you don't even have a chance without the culture. You don't even have a chance without the culture, right? So like, that's what we've got that at least gives us a chance. It gives us a better chance than we had last World Cup, because we weren't mature and we didn't have the discipline or the culture or, the cutthroat ability to put one in when we need one.
Here's where I'll wrap it up. I think you will be borderline shocked at some of the names that are included and some of the names that are left out come the 26 World Cup roster.
I'm okay with that. It's going to be crazy. Alrighty. Well, cool. I'm going to jump off, and we're going to jump off. I'm definitely going to watch the USA Mexico game.
I'm going to fall asleep to it.
Yeah, hopefully it's not that bad, but thanks for joining us as always, guys. Garrett, always enjoy it. Hope we have a great weekend, and we'll be back for playoffs.
Fingers crossed for Benteke. Like, that is, I don't get real excited about a lot, but yeah, to hit another golden boot would be just awesome.
We're making t-shirts. I'll put it that way. 100%. I know I've said it before, but we're definitely making t-shirts. If we get 4 boots in a row, it's something else. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.